During our Christmas lunch, Grandma remarked, "Your sister's baby shower was absolutely perfect. So when are you finally going to start a family?" I smiled and answered, "I did, just didn't invite anyone who acts like I'm a failure." The fork in her hand quivered. One trembling fork could hold the weight of years of unspoken hurt. It was Christmas dinner, and I was about to drop a bomb on my family, a truth I knew could shatter everything. The house was a postcard of holiday cheer, Chloe's perfect colonial home, strung with garlands and twinkling lights. But beneath the festive surface, I could feel the familiar tension coiling, an unspoken expectation that I would once again be the family's personal punching bag. I'm Olivia, 35, and a veterinarian in Seattle. I've always been the different one in my family. Not because I'm rebellious, but because I chose a path less traveled. While my sister, Chloe, married her high school sweetheart, Noah, at 24 and started having kids, Ava, Liam, and little Mia, I poured 8 years into my education, built my own practice, and fell in love with saving animals. My career is my passion, I'm good at it, and it brings me immense joy. Yet, every family gathering felt like an interrogation about my love life, my biological clock, and when I'd finally settled down. I used to deflect with humor, change the subject, anything to escape. Chloe, 3 years my junior, has always been the golden child. Our parents, Susan and Paul, doted on her, helped with her wedding, gave her a down payment on her house. Me? I paid my own way through vet school, bought my own place, zero help. When I graduated, they left early to babysit Chloe's kids. When I opened my practice, they missed the ribbon cutting because of Ava's soccer game. It's done, but I told myself that was just how it was. But the real challenge was my grandmother, Eleanor. She's 78, sharp as a tack, and never missed an opportunity to remind me I was disappointing the family by not having children. According to her, career success means nothing without kids. "When are you going to find a nice man, Olivia?" she'd ask. "You're getting older. Chloe is such a good mother. When will you follow her example?" I'd tried politeness, explanations, anything. Nothing worked. She just dug in deeper. The breaking point was Chloe's baby shower for Mia 3 months ago. It was this elaborate affair at a country club, 50 guests, hundreds of dollars in gifts. 10 minutes in, Grandma Eleanor cornered me. "Olivia, honey, when are you going to have one of these parties for yourself?" she cooed, gesturing at the lavish decorations. "Chloe looks so happy. Don't you want to be happy too?" I explained my career brought me joy, my friends fulfilled me, not everyone needed children to feel complete. She just shook her head. "That's not real happiness, dear. A woman isn't complete without children. You're going to wake up one day and realize you've wasted your whole life on animals." That stung. My work saves lives, helps families, makes a difference. To have it dismissed as keeping myself busy was crushing. But I bit my tongue, smiled, and walked away. I didn't want a scene. Throughout the shower, the digs kept coming. Aunt Brenda asked if I was still playing with animals instead of having real babies. My cousin Ashley wondered aloud if I was gay. My mom kept pushing single guys my way. Meanwhile, Chloe basked in the attention, opening gifts, making speeches, giving me pitying looks like I was some sad spinster. I left early, claiming a clinic emergency, partly true, but mostly I just couldn't take their condescension anymore. That night, I cried. Not because I wanted kids and couldn't have them, but because my own family made me feel worthless. My best friend, Danielle, who's also child-free by choice, helped me process. "They're projecting their insecurities," she said. "Your grandma comes from a generation where women had few options. They can't understand you chose differently because it threatens their worldview." She was right, but the hurt remained. I decided to take a break from family events. I skipped Paul's birthday, Chloe's anniversary, a Labor Day barbecue. Each time, Susan guilt-tripped me about being distant. Chloe left passive-aggressive voicemails. Grandma Eleanor sent a handwritten letter warning of becoming a bitter old maid. But honestly, I was happier than I'd been in months. I spent time with friends who appreciated me, threw myself into my work, and started dating Michael. Michael and I had been together for 4 months by Christmas. He's amazing, funny, intelligent, supportive, and loves animals as much as I do. We were even talking about moving in together. When Susan called about Christmas lunch, I almost said no. But something in her voice, a genuine sadness, made me reconsider. Despite everything, I love my family. I'll be there, I told her. But I'm bringing Michael. Michael? Who's Michael? She'd asked, clearly surprised. My boyfriend. I could practically hear her brain computing. Oh, Olivia, that's wonderful. Maybe this means, well, maybe things are finally moving in the right direction for you. I knew she'd interpret his presence as a sign I was finally settling down, following Chloe's path. I let it slide. I looked forward to having someone in my corner. Michael was a little nervous about meeting my judgmental family, but he's confident and charming. I figured he could handle it. The lunch was at Chloe and Noah's, a perfect colonial with a white picket fence, adorned like a Christmas magazine. We arrived on time, bearing gifts. Chloe greeted us with fake enthusiasm. Olivia, you look great, and you must be Michael. She sized him up, approving. The house buzzed with parents, Eleanor, Aunt Brenda, Uncle Frank, Ashley, Mark, and Chloe's family. The kids immediately mobbed Michael, asking about his pets. He handled it beautifully, crouching down, telling stories. Even baby Mia was charmed. He's great with kids, Susan whispered to me, beaming. Such a natural father. I rolled my eyes internally, but kept smiling. Lunch was typical, too much food, too much wine, too much drama. Uncle Frank argued with Noah about politics. Ashley complained about her job. Aunt Brenda gave unsolicited advice. But for the first hour, things went surprisingly well. Michael charmed everyone with his stories and laugh, complimented Chloe, listened to Paul's golf anecdotes, even found common ground with Uncle Frank about baseball. I started to relax, thinking, maybe this year will be different. Then came dessert. We were all stuffed, picking at red velvet cake and cookies, when Grandma Eleanor struck. Olivia, dear, she said, her voice syrupy sweet, I have to say, Michael seems lovely. So much better than that string of losers you used to bring around. Michael looked confused. I hadn't brought anyone to a family event in 3 years. I just smiled tightly. Madison's baby shower was just perfect back in May, she continued, addressing the table. Such a beautiful celebration of new life. Chloe, you looked absolutely radiant that day. Chloe preened, thank you, Grandma. It really was special. Everyone chimed in. I felt my stomach clench. I knew where this was going. Grandma. Eleanor turned back to me, her eyes glittering. Now, when will you finally start a family, Olivia? You're not getting any younger, and Michael seems like such good husband material. The table went quiet. Everyone watched me, waiting for my usual deflection. But something had shifted inside me. Maybe it was the space I'd taken, or having Michael there, seeing my life through his eyes, remembering I had nothing to be ashamed of. Or maybe I was just tired. Instead of deflecting, I smiled serenely. I did. Grandma Eleanor blinked. You did what, dear? I did start a family, I said calmly. I just didn't invite anyone who treats me like a failure. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Everyone processed, trying to figure out if I was joking. Grandma Eleanor's fork, halfway to her mouth with cake, began to tremble. What do you mean? She asked slowly. I had their full attention. No one interrupted. I mean, I said, my voice gaining strength, that I have a family. I have Michael, who supports my dreams and thinks my career is amazing. I have my friends who celebrate my successes instead of asking when I'm going to give them up. I have my patients and their families who trust me with the most precious things in their lives. I have a community of people who value what I bring to the world. Chloe started to speak, but I held up my hand. I also mean that 6 months ago, I realized I was spending all my time with people who made me feel bad about myself. People who acted like my education was a waste of time, like my career was just a placeholder until I found a man and had babies. People who treated me like I was broken or selfish or incomplete just because I made different choices than they did. Susan stared, mouth slightly open. Paul fidgeted. So I started being more selective about who I spend my time with, I continued. And you know what I discovered? When I'm not constantly being told I'm disappointing everyone, I'm actually really happy with my life. Grandma Eleanor had set down her fork, her hands still shaking. Olivia, I never said you were disappointing. You told me at Chloe's baby shower that my career was just keeping myself busy until I had a real family, I interrupted. You said I was going to wake up one day and realize I'd wasted my whole life. You spent years telling me that a woman isn't complete without children. I was just trying to help. No, you weren't, I said, calm but firm. You were trying to make me feel bad about my choices because they're different from yours. And it worked for a long time. I spent years feeling like I had to justify my life to all of you. But here's the thing. I don't have to justify anything. I save lives every day. I built a successful practice from nothing. I own my own home. I travel. I have hobbies and interests and friends who actually like spending time with me. I'm in a loving relationship with someone who thinks I'm amazing exactly as I am. Michael squeezed my hand, an encouraging smile on his face. So, when Grandma asks when I'm going to start a family, the answer is, I already have one. It's just not the family sitting at this table, because the family sitting at this table has spent years making me feel like nothing I do will ever be good enough. The silence was deafening. I could hear the kids playing, the grandfather clock, the refrigerator hum. Finally, Susan spoke, her voice small, wounded. Olivia, we love you. We just want you to be happy. No, I said gently. You want me to be happy in the way that makes sense to you. There's a difference. But family is important. Aunt Brenda chimed in. Blood is thicker than water and all that. I almost laughed. The full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means the relationships you choose are stronger than the ones you're born into. I've been proving that point for months now. Chloe finally found her voice. So what? You're just going to abandon your family? Cut us all off because we care about you? I'm not abandoning anyone, I replied. I'm just not going to keep subjecting myself to constant criticism and judgment. If you want a relationship with me, it needs to be based on accepting who I am, not trying to change me. Noah, who'd been quiet, cleared his throat. Olivia, I think maybe you're being a little harsh. Everyone here does love you. Do they? I looked at him. When was the last time anyone at this table asked me about my work and actually listened? When has anyone celebrated one of my achievements without immediately following it up with a comment about my personal life? When has anyone shown any interest in getting to know the real me instead of the version of me they wish existed? More silence. I opened my own veterinary practice 2 years ago. It was the culmination of 15 years of education and hard work. I was so proud. Do you know what Grandma said to me at the ribbon cutting? She said, well, this is nice, dear, but when are you going to focus on something that really matters? Grandma Eleanor's face had gone pale. I don't remember saying that. I do, I said quietly. I remember it perfectly because it was one of the most hurtful things anyone had ever said to me. I just achieved my biggest dream, and you dismissed it as unimportant because it wasn't marriage and babies. Michael squeezed my hand again. 3 months ago, I won an award from the Washington State Veterinary Association for my work with rescue organizations, I continued. I've personally found homes for over 150 animals. I've provided free medical care for families who couldn't afford it. I've been featured in the local newspaper twice for my community service. But none of you know about any of that because you've never asked. Susan looked stricken. You never told us about the award. I tried to, I said. I called you the day after I won it. You listened for about 30 seconds before changing the subject to ask if I'd met any nice men at the awards ceremony. The truth hit home. I saw it in her face. Last month, I helped save a little girl's dog after he was hit by a car. I worked on that dog for 6 hours straight. The little girl hugged me and told me I was her hero. Her parents cried and thanked me for keeping their family together. That's what I do every day. I keep families together. I just do it with animals instead of babies. Ashley shifted uncomfortably. But it's not the same thing, is it? It is the same thing, I challenged. Pets are family members to the people who love them. When I save someone's dog or cat, I'm saving a beloved family member. How is that less valuable than what any of you do? No one had an answer. The point is, I said, looking directly at Grandma Eleanor, I do have a family. I have a chosen family of people who support me and celebrate me and value what I bring to the world. And I have Michael, who loves me exactly as I am and doesn't spend every conversation trying to convince me to be someone else. Michael smiled at me. So, to answer your original question, Grandma, I'm not going to start a family. I already have one. It's just not sitting at this table because the people sitting at this table have made it clear that they don't actually want me as I am. They want some fantasy version of me that doesn't exist. Grandma Eleanor's fork was definitely trembling now, and I saw tears gathering in her eyes. For a moment, I felt bad. She was an old woman, and I'd basically just told her her love wasn't good enough. But then I remembered all the years of cutting comments, the disappointed sighs, the feeling of being a failure, and my resolve strengthened. I don't want to hurt anyone, I said, softening my tone slightly. But I also can't keep pretending that it doesn't hurt when you all act like my life is some kind of consolation prize. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I'm happy with the choices I've made, and I deserve to be around people who can celebrate that with me instead of constantly trying to fix me. The room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. Everyone stared at their plates. Finally, Paul spoke. Olivia, I had no idea you felt this way. I've tried to tell you, I said. Many times. But every time I tried to express that the constant questions and comments were hurtful, someone would say I was being too sensitive or that you all were just showing you cared. We do care, Susan said, tears in her voice. I know you do, I replied. But caring about someone means accepting them as they are, not trying to turn them into who you think they should be. Chloe finally spoke, defensively. So, we're all terrible people because we want you to experience the joy of having children? I sighed. Chloe, you're not terrible people, but you're not listening to me when I tell you that I don't want children. You keep assuming that I just haven't met the right man, or that I'll change my mind, or that I'm somehow broken. It never occurs to any of you that I might actually know what I want and be happy with my choices. But don't you want to leave a legacy? Grandma Eleanor asked, her voice shaky. Don't you want someone to carry on your name? I am leaving a legacy, I said. Every animal I save, every family I help, every young veterinarian I mentor, that's my legacy. And honestly, my name dies with me either way because I'm a woman. If I had kids, they'd take their father's name. That seemed to stump her. Look, I said, addressing the whole table. I'm not saying we can never have a relationship, but if we're going to move forward, things need to change. I need you to stop treating my career like a hobby. I need you to stop asking when I'm going to have children. I need you to stop making me feel like I'm disappointing you just by existing as I am. And if we can't do that? Chloe asked, more curious than challenging now. Then I'll continue building my life with people who can, I said simply. I'm 32 years old. I'm successful, happy, and surrounded by love. I don't need anyone's approval anymore. Uncle Frank, silent throughout, suddenly spoke up. You know what? Good for you, Olivia. I always thought you were tough, but this takes real guts. Everyone stared at him. What? He said. She's right. We have been pretty hard on her. I mean, look at what she's accomplished. She's a doctor for goodness sake. She owns her own business. She's making a difference. Why are we acting like that's not enough? Thank you, I said, a rush of gratitude. And honestly, he continued, Ashley and Mark have been married for 8 years and still don't have kids. How come nobody gives them the 3rd degree at every family dinner? Ashley looked mortified. Uncle Frank, no. He's right, I said, looking at my cousin with new understanding. I'm so sorry, Ashley. I never realized you two were getting pressured, too. She nodded miserably. It's different when it's a choice. You know, you can defend yourself. When you're trying and it's not working. My heart broke for her. Oh, honey, I had no idea. See? Uncle Frank said. We're all so busy judging each other's choices that we're missing what's really going on. The energy in the room had shifted. People were looking at each other with new awareness. Susan wiped her eyes. Olivia, I owe you an apology. I thought I was being supportive, but I see now that I was being selfish. I wanted you to have the same things that made me happy, and I didn't stop to consider that you might find happiness in different ways. I appreciate that, Mom, I said, some tension easing. Paul nodded. Your mother's right. We're proud of you, sweetheart. We always have been. I guess we just didn't do a good job of showing it. I felt tears threaten for the first time. That means a lot to hear. Chloe was quiet, then said, I'm sorry, too. I think maybe I was jealous sometimes. You got to travel and focus on your career and make your own choices. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I'd waited, if I built something for myself first. That was probably the most honest thing Chloe had ever said. You still can, I told her. It's not too late to pursue your own interests. She smiled sadly. Maybe. It's hard with 3 kids. I could help, I offered. I mean, if you wanted to take some classes. I love spending time with Ava and Liam and Mia. I don't want kids of my own. There's a difference. Chloe's eyes brightened. Really? You'd babysit? Of course. They're my nieces and nephew. I want to be part of their lives. Noah leaned over and kissed Chloe's cheek. See, I told you Olivia would help if you just asked. All eyes turned to Grandma Eleanor, who had been silent. She was staring at her hands. Grandma, I said gently. She looked up, crying. I'm sorry, Olivia. I'm so sorry. You're right about everything, and I'm a foolish old woman who doesn't know when to keep her mouth shut. You're not foolish, I said. You come from a different generation with different expectations. I understand that. She shook her head. That's no excuse. I've been cruel to you and I've been unfair. You're an accomplished, successful woman, and I should have been celebrating that instead of trying to tear it down. I reached across and took her hand. I don't want to tear anything down, Grandma. I just want to build something better. She squeezed my hand. Can you forgive an old woman for being stuck in her ways? Only if you can accept that I might be stuck in mine, I said with a small smile. That got a laugh out of her, and the tension broke like a fever. Michael, who had been quietly observing this entire family therapy session, finally spoke. "If I may," he said. "I just want to say that Olivia is the most amazing woman I've ever met. She's brilliant, compassionate, dedicated, and she makes the world a better place every single day. I feel incredibly lucky to be part of her chosen family." Tears spilled over. To hear him defend me, to have someone in my corner who truly understood my worth, it meant everything. "And," he continued, "I want you all to know that she talks about all of you constantly. She loves you so much, even when you frustrate her. She keeps pictures of Ava and Liam and Mia on her desk. She brags about Chloe's cooking and Susan's garden and Paul's golf game to anyone who will listen. She cares about all of you deeply. She just wants to feel like that care is returned without conditions." I was full-on crying now. Madison was wiping her eyes. Even Dad looked emotional. "Thank you," Mom said to Michael. "Thank you for loving our daughter and for helping us see what we were doing wrong." The rest of the afternoon passed in a completely different atmosphere. People actually asked me about my work. Grandma Eleanor wanted to hear about the award. Paul asked if he could visit my clinic. Chloe started talking about online courses in interior design. When it was time to leave, everyone hugged me. Not quick, obligatory hugs, but real, warm embraces. Grandma Eleanor held on longest. "I'm proud of you, Olivia," she whispered. "I should have said that years ago." "You said it now," I replied. "That's what matters." As Michael and I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in years. The confrontation had been scary, but necessary. For the first time, my family actually saw me for who I was instead of who they wanted me to be. "That was intense," Michael said as we pulled into my driveway. "Are you okay?" I thought about it. "Yeah, I think I am. Better than okay. I feel free." He smiled and took my hand. "I'm proud of you. That took a lot of courage." "I couldn't have done it without you there," I admitted. Having someone in my corner made all the difference. "You'll always have me in your corner," he said, kissing my hand gently. As we walked into my house, our house soon, I thought with a smile, I reflected. I hadn't set out to have that confrontation. I'd just gotten tired of pretending their mistreatment of me was okay. But sometimes that's how the best revenge works, not through elaborate schemes, but through simply refusing to accept being treated poorly. By standing up for myself and demanding respect, I'd gotten something better than revenge. I'd gotten genuine change. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe, "Thank you for today. I needed to hear some of those things, too. Would you really help with babysitting if I wanted to take some classes?" I typed back, "Absolutely. We're family. The real kind." She sent a heart emoji, and I smiled. Sometimes the best families are the ones you choose. But sometimes, if you're lucky and brave enough to fight for it, you can turn the family you're born into the family you choose to keep. The fork in Grandma Eleanor's hand had trembled. But in the end, it wasn't from anger or shock. It was from the realization that she'd been wrong, and the courage it took to admit it. And that, I thought as Michael wrapped his arms around me, was the sweetest revenge of all. It's been 2 weeks. The changes in my family have been remarkable. Susan calls just to ask about my day. Paul sent me a veterinary article. Chloe and I text about her potential return to school. Most surprisingly, Grandma Eleanor sent a handwritten letter apologizing again, asking if I would teach her about what I do. She wants to understand my world better, she said. I'm not naive enough to think everything will be perfect. Families are complicated, and changing lifelong patterns takes time. But for the first time in years, I'm looking forward to the next gathering instead of dreading it. Sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't destroy relationships. It saves them. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and refusing to accept anything less than you deserve. I'm Olivia. I'm 35. I'm a veterinarian. I'm in love. And I'm exactly where I want to be in life. Have you ever found that setting boundaries actually strengthened your family relationships?